Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you to the organizers for inviting us to speak here today. Our company is called MEDIPOST America. It's a private U.S. company, 100% owned subsidiary of a Korean corporation called MEDIPOST. And we do have a commercial stage allogeneic stem cell product approved and sold in Korea, and I'll tell you about the strategy that we're going on about that with the U.S. and other areas of the world. So the company is established in 2000. This is a Korean parent company. We're listed on KOSDAQ with a current market cap in Korea with about $530 million US. About 220 people now. We operate cord blood banking business in Korea, private cord blood bank, as well as an R&D arm to do allogeneic cell therapy product development using cord blood as a starting material. We own and operate GMP facility, 1,500 square meters of floor space, where we manufacture at the moment in Korea for commercial products as well as materials for clinical trials. And the MEDIPOST America is a U.S. entity, wholly owned subsidiary of MEDIPOST. We do commercial rights, commercial activities within Americas and European Union and Australia. So MEDIPOST has basically three arms of business. We do cord blood banking, so-called cash cow. We turn around about $20 million US in Korea doing private cord blood banking business. So far, we store about 220,000 babies units of cord blood private, a very small amount of public numbers, since 2000. And we do stem cell therapy development. This is allogeneic cell therapy product using unwanted cord blood units as a starting material, and we use Blood-derived MSCs expanded. And the first product that we've managed to bring out in the market in Korea with BLA in 2012 is called CARTISTEM. And since approval and launch in 2012, we've so far treated close to 4,000 patients on the market. I'll tell you a bit of a date on that. And we also have a stem cell-based cosmetics product line. So a couple of slides on the regulatory landscape in Korea. Korean FDA, the old name, the new name is actually Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, or MFDS, regulatory authority in Korea, has approved 4 products that are under stem cells with BLA. 3 of them are autologous, and ours in the second from the top, CARTISTEM is an allogeneic cell therapy product for actually OA patients. And 2 other products are with an Orphan Drug designation for rare indications. So again, landscape, cell therapy product regulation in Korea is very similar to that in the US, where biological product includes cell therapy as well as gene therapy products. And this is metrics where, again, you should be very familiar with, where minimal manipulated cells, medical practice. You've got the more than minimal manipulated cells under biologics, including autologous as well as allogeneic cell therapy products, and our product belongs to there, in that red zone in the middle. And then tissues and organs are regulated separately. So we have allogeneic stem cells, as I mentioned to you, derived from human umbilical cord blood derived MSCs. CARTISTEM has gone through pre-IND and IND stage, preclinical, and phase 1, 2, and 3 trials, all completed in Korea and market authorized in 2012. In the U.S., we've cleared IND with FDA, finished phase 1, 2. We intend to meet with FDA next year for the next phase discussion on this asset. So PNEUMOSTEM is another one I'm going to tell you, a couple of slides in the end. This is for an indication called Broncho-pulmonary Dysplasia. Prematurely born infants, a lung indication, Orphan Drug designated, both in Korea, US, and also Europe. Phase 1 is finished in Korea. Phase 2 is completed recently in Korea. We are filing for an early access market application in Korea next year. And in the US, we've finished phase 1, 2 safety study also. Last in the pipeline is called NeuroStem. This is for Alzheimer's disease, which I'm not going to tell you about today. Phase 1 finished in Korea, and phase 2 is undergoing in Korea with pre-IND stage in US. So the indication that CARTISTEM, this is the marketed product in Korea, is targeting is degenerative osteoarthritis, or OA. And if you have cartilage defect, as you see on the left-hand side of the screen, they can go from grade 1 to 4, defined by the ICRS, which is Cartilage Repair Society. So grade 1 is basically a superficial loss, and grade 4, complete loss, you've got a bone exposed. And those are the patients that we treated on our phase 3 trial. You can have that type of lesion as an individual isolated lesion from things like a sports injury or accidents, or as you can see on the right-hand side there, basically traumatic, multiple lesions and many things going wrong inside your knee joint, a typical situation of a patient suffering from osteoarthritis. And we are really targeting for that patient pool, as you will see in our phase 3 clinical study design results that came out, really effective in regenerating cartilage of those patients' knee joint. So this is what the product looks like as they are approved and sold in Korea at the moment. API is human umbilical cord blood-derived MSCs, ex vivo expanded. They're released with a second component, hyaluronic acid or sodium hyaluronate. This is custom designed, high molecular weight, high viscosity, freeze-dried pellet, defined by Korean regulatory agency as an excipient, which is mixed before it's applied surgically. Through open incision or arthroscopic surgery, basically applied directly to the bone. So this is one of our patients from phase 1/2 study conducted some 8-9 years ago in Korea. Fairly large lesion, is bone exposed, and what we do is we drill holes through there to create space on the bone and fill the holes with the gel mix with the cell, and then cover the top surface with the remaining cell jelly, basically. And then you don't put any membrane or glue on top. Basically, knee is extended and non-weight bearer for several weeks, 3 months image and 20 months image, so you can actually see the regrowth is happening. So this particular study of phase 1/2 with 7-year extended follow-up has been published, and I'm going to show you the phase 3 data in a minute. So what's happening in Korea right now, this has been developed with Samsung Medical Center, and the BLA, Biologics License Application, was granted by Korean then FDA, 2012. There's the label. It treats repetitive and or traumatic cartilage defects, including degenerative osteoarthritis, very importantly without age limit, and I'll tell you why that's important. So far, as I mentioned to you, some 4,000 patients have been treated with actual dose released is more than that, because some patients have larger defects and you need 2 doses, or some patients actually receive both of their knees treated. So that is as of this month. So the Korean FDA at the time mandated us to do a 600-patient registry post-market surveillance for on-market safety. That's completed with no safety issues. And as I mentioned, in the U.S., we've finished phase 1/2A with 12 patients for a safety study. That's completed just 12 months follow-up, May this year. We intend to go into next phase discussions with FDA next year. So here's a CMC profile or manufacturing overview. So we obtain unwanted cord blood unit. This is essentially medical waste. And then we expand the cells after we do a very rigorous donor eligibility test, including infectious disease screening. We don't mix or pool these cord blood units, so 1 unit of blood will actually proceed to expansion into doses of cells, and some 800 to 1,000 doses can be achieved from 1 donor unit. And then we move to the next donor, basically. The other unique, somewhat different, formula that we come up with is we expand the cells, and then we freeze them down in liquid nitrogen, which is stable for 3 years. And then we wait until we get the order, basically, prescription from the clinics. And then the process is that we thaw the cells and we culture them for 5 days before release. So the reason for doing that is that during the development stage, we learned that by simply thawing the frozen cells out of liquid nitrogen and put them into animals were not as good as getting the cells thawed and let them really revive during culture a few days and then put them into in vivo. So that actually gave us a lot higher viability and functionality. So in reality now, that's how we're releasing the cells after 5-day culture. And that is stable for 48 hours, very short shelf life, but in ambient temperature of between 4 to 20 degrees Celsius. So this is the pivotal study that was conducted in Korea that led us to approval. Now we've done 5-year follow-up of that cohort of patients. This was randomized, multi-center phase 3, used CARTISTEM versus microfracture. The microfracture is the active control in this study, which is basically drilling holes through a bone to let the bone marrow bleed out. It's a standard care procedure. 104 patients with everybody at bare bone stage, ICRS-4, grade lesion. And a 1 year time point after single treatment, we looked into the knee and then see if the cartilage was regrown, basically. And then as secondary endpoints, we measured pain and function. So this is a market landscape in Korea with people with degenerative joint diseases. At least half, some 70% of that is knee joint problems, and that is not dissimilar to any other parts of the world people with suffering knee pain. So if you distribute that into by age, the problem is the major problem population in this type of indication is the patients between ages 50 and 60, 70 or so. Because if you're younger than 50 years of age, you can do microfracture, standard care treatment, that can actually give you some effect. Or right at the end of the spectrum, you can actually get knee replacement done. There's a terminal procedure, lasts about 10 years. So if you're aged between 55 and 70, then you're actually asked to wait for another 5-10 years so you're old enough to get the knee replacement done. So with that reality, when we designed our study in Phase III, we've deliberately enrolled and looked for those patients. The red bars on the right-hand side indicates the actual 104 patients enrolled in our Phase III study. So you can see that was targeted, so-called unmet medical need. By treating those patients with allogeneic cells, we actually asked the question whether we can regenerate or cause the regeneration of cartilage. Very simple, a single treatment, waited for 1 year, looked with arthroscopic second look, interpreted by independent orthopedic surgeon. Improvement was grade 4 lesion, bare bone. Do we see cartilage regrowth? So if you have more than 1 grade improvement, that is regrown cartilage, or even more than 2 grade improvement, that is a thicker cartilage regeneration. As you can see, 98 versus 72%. So that was the CARTISTEM was effective in doing that despite the age. There's an example image of the left-hand side panel. A patient treated with microfracture, you still have the defect on the right-hand side. This is a CARTISTEM-treated patient on the right-hand side lesion that is fully regrown, 1 year time point. What we've done then, follow the same cohort of patients right up to 5 years. So again, we've done nothing, a single treatment. At 3 year time point, this is a functional measurement system, IKDC scoring. Higher the score, the better. So they both go up at 1 year, and you can see the microfracture control group deteriorates back, whereas the CARTISTEM-treated patients maintain, and that is significant. Another measurement system of functionality, same story there. They improve, lower the score, the better, maintained in a red line, and the microfracture patients goes back. And pain measurements show a very similar pattern here. So this is a number of cells that are products that are being sold quarterly from 2012 right through the fourth quarter of this year is picking up. And we're doing various activities in the world. US, we're doing Phase I to finished, going to next phase next year, discussions with FDA. Australia and Canada, we're doing regulatory activities for market approval and discussions with their regulatory agencies there. Japan and China, clinical development program. There are some countries on the named patient basis we're directly exporting this out of Korea, such as Hong Kong. So last 2 slides is broncho-pulmonary dysplasia, the second asset. There's no treatment out there. This is for babies born prematurely with very, very low birth weight, less than 1 kilogram of birth weight. And this equates about 1% natural birth, 40,000 in the US, maybe 50,000 around also in Europe. So the short-term complications is about 1/3 of these babies will die. And then those that survive, they'll have a very prolonged stay in the intensive care unit. And long-term, they have mental disabilities and growth retardations. And again, there's no treatment out there for this condition. We've done this work, again, with Samsung Medical Center, done very much of a preclinical work to convince the Korean FDA to gain IND to treat patients first in human, because these babies are obviously very vulnerable. So Phase I was first in human dose escalation safety that was completed with 9 patients and now published in Journal of Pediatrics. Second phase was double-blind placebo control, 70 subjects, a 1-to-1 ratio, and that was done and complete last year. So we're analyzing the data this year, unblinded earlier this year, and with that data, we intend to go in for conditional approval in Korea. With orphan designation in Korea, you can actually apply after Phase II with on-market Phase III as a conditional approval. This is orphan drug designated both in US and Europe, and we've recently obtained some specific patents for this technology product in North America and US and Canada. So what MEDIPOST America is doing is 100% on U.S. entity right now by a parent in Korea. So our strategy is quite simple, where we got the proof of concept, both preclinical and clinical work, done in Korea, and leverage that, and then really translate that into clinical development program in major markets like U.S. and Europe, basically knowing what to expect and get the first-hand experience from Korea, and then expand to other markets in the world with various strategies. And like other companies, we're looking for licensing partnerships as well as some investment opportunities at a private stage next year. Here's my contact details, and thank you for your attention.